Welcome everybody to Coffee with Robin. We have some wonderful guests for you today, but before I introduce you to our studio guests, and by the way, we are live from Dubscape Studios in Los Angeles. This is the place where we do a lot of our post-production, all of our post-production sound, which includes mixing and different tracks and what's called ADR or looping. We do it all right here with our maestro of sound, who is today behind the sound and the cameras, Gregg Hall. Woo! So dear friends, dear backers, please share our Kickstarter page with all of your friends out there who might be interested in supporting our campaign, as well as in pledging for our wonderful rewards. Anyway, I'll talk to you more about that at the end of our show. Right now, I know everybody is eager to hear from and welcome our two special guests, young actress and Kol Neshama alum, Ahava Keet, with her father, award-winning cinematographer, director of photography, Daron Keet, who was the cinematographer for Operation Candlelight, and I think for both of them it was a unique and special experience to get to work on this film together, and they're going to tell you a little more about it. Ahava, why don't we start with you? First of all, did you enjoy your summer at Kol Neshama?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing. It was such a great experience. And, you know, being on set the whole time with my dad and just, like, seeing how the whole process was done, it was really, like, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I loved it.
Wonderful, wonderful. What did you learn? Tell me some of the things you learned about filmmaking, or what was exciting to you?
I mean, really, everything was exciting. It's nice to see, like, you know, a script coming to life. Like, I would read the script sort of after the scene was already filmed, and, like, you see how the whole process is being done. It was really great, the whole experience altogether.
Oh, wonderful. And Ahava has a beautiful voice and is a wonderful young actress, and also happens to be quite mature. I was surprised, actually, at the end of the summer when I found out that you were like the second to youngest camper in the program. I was actually kind of in shock, I have to tell you.
Thank you.
So yes, it was really, and Ahava also was really on set. You helping out. You were really like a PA on set, and she was there all the time, and whatever we needed, you know, she was one of the first to volunteer to make sure it got done. So, but let's turn it over to our cinematographer extraordinaire, Daron Keet. And so for you, maybe you'll tell us a little bit about your background, both as a cinematographer and maybe a little of your Jewish journey as well, and how they came together.
Hi everyone. Yeah, I started out in South Africa as getting into the film industry when I came out of school. In those days, if you wanted to be a cinematographer, you'd have to become a clapper loader and work your way up the ranks, and that's what I did. Eventually, I became a cinematographer, and just at that point, I won the green card lottery. Came to America, having won the green card lottery. It made sense because, you know, I always wanted to make movies. In South Africa, I was just shooting TV commercials, and a year later, we had Ahava. And Ahava, when she was born, was just totally, just loved Judaism. She just was, on Friday nights, on Shabbos, she came alive, she couldn't stop singing. At Chabad of Brentwood, she used to attract the crowds in, just singing Shalom Aleichem. Everyone used to say, "Who's a Shirley Temple?" at 2 years old. And she wanted to go to a Jewish day school, and she changed our whole lives, and we became kosher, and we became more observant, I'd say, more, you know, not because of us, because of our daughter. So,
interesting. Now, how, this is the big question that I'm sure so many people would like to know. Once you became observant and started keeping Shabbos and the holidays, how did that impact your career?
Well, it's very difficult because no one really wants to hear about your problems. They just want you, you know, you get hired because of your ability. And as a cinematographer, it's kind of like, no two cinematographers are the same. Everyone sees something different. So if you get hired for a job, people, you know, you can't always replace yourself that easily because you got the job for a specific reason. Right. So you got to just be upfront with people right away. If you can't work on Saturdays, you got to tell them, and then you more than likely would lose the job. So it becomes very tough.
but you've managed, obviously there are many directors out there who value, you know, your work so much and are willing to work around certain limitations because you're working all the time.
Some do and some don't. It's just the reality. You know, sometimes people are they're very supportive and they'll try to work around your schedule, and other times they can't because they've got deadlines and things like that. So it's very tricky, so sometimes you lose jobs, but that's the nature of freelance. It's very, very tricky.
Right.
But at the same token, you know, when we work and when it does work out, I love what I do and I couldn't think of anything else. You know, I'd love to do more. Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, this summer, though, everything came together. We got to do a feature film. You got to have your daughter around on set. You had kosher food.
That's right.
You didn't have to work on Shabbos, and or somebody expecting, you know, such a thing from you. And in fact, we would pray on set. We would, you know, people would be davening, you know, the afternoon service, or sometimes, you know, you'd see the morning service after we were filming all night. So how was that for you to be able to do this particular project?
Yeah, it's a dream come true. I mean, that's what you'd want. Also, usually when I work on other jobs, I'd come home and Ahava or my wife would ask me, "How was your day?" And it's pretty hard to describe what you do on a film set. You know, what are you going to do?
No asking now. I got to see the whole thing live.
So that answered our questions. Ahava doesn't have to ask me that many questions because she kind of now gets what we do. And it's, you know, even though it seems like you always do the same thing, you don't. Every time it's a different challenge.
True.
So to explain to someone what you did that day, you'd have to start at the beginning of the day, and we usually work 12-hour days, so it could be a long conversation.
Right. Past your bedtime, probably. So, you know, I'm going to take a moment and turn it over. We actually have here monitoring our chat room, by our text chat room, we have Chaya Salika Garbos. And I'm wondering, Chaya Salika, are there any comments or questions that you can share from our audience, our live stream crowd?
Yes, we actually just got one. Carmel Daneman asks, Daron, how is doing the film different from your other work?
You know, I'd say every job differs from every other job. I think you got to, the film industry, I think every job you've got to act as if it's the first time you've ever done it. You've got to look at it with fresh eyes because every story is different. So I think, you know, that's how I approach every job. That it's always different. I don't want to use my experience to do something the way I've done it before because that might not be the best way to tell that story.
For sure.
So
And now tell us what you felt. What was your observation of working with these young Jewish women from Kol Neshama who were in Kol Neshama? For people who may not know, is a performing arts conservatory that operates during the summer, which is a place where young women who are Orthodox can come and very seriously study singing, dancing, acting, and filmmaking. It was something that I founded almost 15 years ago, and the idea was to create a real, a sort of Jewish Juilliard, a place that offered the opportunity for serious artistic development. So, Daron, what do you think? How did we do?
I think it was incredible to see the amount of talent. I think what was amazing is, you know, often actors get jobs, they might not resonate with the material, but they take it as a stepping stone in their careers. But this was clearly the kind of movie, the material suited the people who were doing it.
Right.
So it was a dream come true for everyone, I think.
And what about the crew? Now, your crew was mostly not Jewish, right?
That's right, yeah.
So what do you think it was like for them? What reactions did you observe, and did you hear from people about working, you know, with the girls?
Yeah, I did. I think it was interesting because, you know, in the film industry, everyone's really friendly. So everyone hugs each other, and that's just kind of the way things are set up. So I basically told the crew that in the Orthodox world, you know, women don't shake hands with men. It's just the way it is. It's inappropriate. So they understood that there was no problem. And by extension to that, they also said, how's our language been? Have we been, you know, so it kind of refined everything. And sometimes on film sets, you know, people can be very expressive in every which way. So I think the fact that the girls dressed in a very modest way kind of just ups everyone's behavior in a way. It just refines everyone's character, there's no doubt about it. So I think, everyone appreciated it. Everyone realized that they were there to make a movie, and I think when people see other people committed to a lifestyle that they're not used to, I think they appreciate that because they can.
It's true. Yeah. It's very true. Would you agree?
Yeah, like they react differently, being that it's a different type of thing they're not really used to. Like they react with accordance to that.
They
nice
rose to the occasion. They were a wonderful crew.
Great.
And I want to do a little shout out to some of them, like Zach, for instance, who operated B camera. He did such a phenomenal job in Austin, our first AC. Yeah. And Kevin, who operated the Technocrane.
Yeah.
How about telling us a little bit about, I'm sure people want to know about that Technocrane.
Okay, well, Technocrane is a tool that you use in the film industry. It's like a crane that's got a telescoping arm. So you can imagine a camera going inside a window of a house, for example, and it retracting and seeing the whole house. It can do those kind of things. So it's an incredible tool. The way I look at a Technocrane, I think of it as my imagination. If you're trying to think, you think all over the place. You might think about this and then think about that, and it kind of making movies to me is a way of like communicating your thoughts, and it's just a great tool to be able to think where would you want the camera to be at a specific time, and then be free to actually get it to a different place at this, So it's a wonderful tool to tell a story, and it's not always it's a very expensive tool, so it's something you can't always have. So we're very fortunate that Panavision donated it to us, yeah.
And Panavision donated it to us because Daron had won the Cinematography Award. So it was really an honor and a privilege to be the recipients and beneficiaries of such an incredible cinematic tool.
Yeah.
It replaced the Dolly track.
Yeah.
Also, we didn't use the Dolly track at all. The entire...
Dolly tracks take time to lay out the track, and sometimes people can trip and step over the tracks.
That's right.
Sometimes if you do a move that's very long, you could start on a wide shot and pull back, and then you see the Dolly tracks. That restricts how far you can come back. With this Technocrane is not just a Technocrane, it's the smallest Technocrane ever made. So we're the first people to use this Technocrane from Panavision, and it can extend 22 feet, but it's also narrow enough to get into the doorway of a room. And we had it inside a cave, inside a classroom. Usually Technocranes are, you use them in theaters and on, in fields. You don't use them in very small areas. Also the fact that we had an ensemble cast, there was a lot of characters in the movie. Normally you're dealing with one or two actors, which if you're dealing with one or two actors, you can handle a little, tripod and things like that. But to have so many multiple characters.
Yes. And we had a cast of about 60, and we were feeding approximately 90 people a day for the run of the shoot, which was amazing. So it was a film of epic proportions as well, but I think it's going to be very exciting for our audience. Ms. Garbos, what else?
Leah Gottfried asks, what was the most challenging scene or shot for you on this film?
The most challenging shot? I never find anything too challenging, I'm not saying that. I think challenges are good. I never, the most difficult thing is when things change or things like that, but we didn't have really challenging scenes. I think one of the most epic scenes probably was the scene when there was a lockdown, when the police come.
But we won't give away any spoilers.
We won't give away, but I think that was fun for the girls because there was a lot of girls getting into a very emotional scene. And I think you have this like collective unconscious where it's not the kind of scene that they would experience in their everyday lives, thank God. But when 30 people experience that on set, or how many were in that scene, they really get into the character and can relate to it. So I think that was a challenging scene to do in a fun way.
I would have to say one scene in particular for me, it was our last day that we were actually filming at the school, and it was a night scene, if you remember. I'm not going to say which one because it's also a spoiler, but there was an entire scene that we had left to shoot with maybe a half hour of light. Right. And I really felt quite defeated and like, oh my goodness, we're not going to get this critical scene. And Daron just said, nope, let's go, let's do it. I said, you're kidding. He said, come on, let's do it. And we did, and we got it. And we were both, we were really on the fly in terms of how, it was not how I had originally conceived the scene.
Right.
And, you grabbed the camera and went in there. We tried it once with Steadicam, and it wasn't really working. And we saw the sun like, oh no, it's coming up.
The sun was rising at 6 in the morning.
Rising. And exactly, and you just grabbed the camera and shot it handheld and gave it this incredible, frenetic, look and feel to it, which was emotionally, I think, right for the moment. And the other thing that was really great, it was really cowboy cinematography, just like, let's get out there and get this no matter what.
Yeah, well, I think that's what you said. It's because it's the last day of the shoot.
You had no choice.
You have no choice. So, I just don't believe in, like, giving up. And, sometimes you could say, for the big picture, we could do a scene tomorrow. We could find a place, but there's nowhere to recover on your last day. So you just have to do it. And when the sun's coming up, that's holding your feet to the fire. You just got to do it.
Do you remember that?
Of course, it was like a nighttime scene. We had to capture the last darkness, and suddenly the sun is rising, the sky's getting lighter. I'm just thinking, oh no, please don't show the sky in the shot, because it would be a giveaway. The sun was rising and the sky was getting lighter. I remember that. It was fun.
It was really amazing. Yes, it was a little stressful, but it was fun.
A little.
And it was very rewarding to be able to say that we got the scene.
Yeah.
Thank God, really. It was, and okay, Chaya, what else do you have for us?
Which scene was the most fun to do?
The most fun scene to do? Probably the lockdown. I mean, I like big scenes. I'm like, I would like to think like David Lean movies, and the more epic, the grander, the more people involved. I like that, because that's what separates from what you can do in a movie compared to what someone can do in a documentary or make in an independent, small budget movie. It just, I just like something that's epic, like really reaching, doing something.
That was a very fun scene.
Yeah, it was. I think it gave actress Nancy Carlin a bit of a headache.
Oh, everyone was like, basically the scene, once we went in, everyone was screaming, and Nancy was like,
yeah, I think some of the adult actors on set
can't
may have
handle
been
kids.
tested.
Their patience, I
True.
felt that.
Yes, Chaya.
Shoshana Warnker asks, for what scene was the Technocrane most useful for?
Basically, in a nutshell, what it is, you see a whole group of people eating, and one of our characters is not having a very good day, and in one moment you can show the levity and the happiness of a whole group in a very wide shot, from, like a bird's eye, and just carry the camera over everyone's head, and then go into a close-up where you see someone, with a tear in their eye, not very happy. And then when you reach different emotion, and then when you reach the end of the crane, which is 22 feet, then you can continue the shot with on the zoom and extend it. So without, what you normally would do in a scene like that is you would cut from a wide to close up, but to just go through that whole emotion in one shot is epic, because you're not hiding anything like a cut. People know that it's authentic, it's honest, that's what happened.
Exactly, and I remember we did several takes of that shot because we kept refining it, and we knew it's what's called a oneer, where you shoot a scene in one setup, one shot. And I remember we added another character entering and crossing, and that like motivated the move of the crane.
Right.
And by the end, it was a shot that told a whole story. And I think the juxtaposition of the big crowd to the finishing on that close-up really had huge emotional impact, and really conveyed, the intensity of what's going on in that moment. Any sort of final wrap-out comment before I maybe wrap out about Kickstarter, Ahava?
It was just a really great experience, and I really think, you should pledge, you should watch it. It was so much fun making it, and I think people will really like it because, for your other two pieces, it was like, it's a completely different genre. It's not a musical, it's action, it's exciting, it's thrilling. I think people will really, really enjoy it.
Thank you, great. I hope from your mouth and to your father, to Daron, what?
I'll just say there's so much talent in front of the camera, and I think it was an amazing opportunity for these girls who, many of them, don't have these kind of opportunities. And to get an opportunity when they're so young, I'm sure they learnt a lot. and they also learnt a lot, you know, in front of the camera and behind the camera.
Absolutely.
So they learnt about the filmmaking process. It's not that easy. It sounds glamorous and fun, but it's actually the only thing that's fun is actually watching the results of your work years later.
Yeah,
But when
it's
you're
very,
doing
very
it,
true.
yeah.
I mean, I think that was one of the really unique parts of the experience, is that girls had a real, true filmmaking experience and education behind the camera. Even for me, that was even more exciting because, you know, God willing, we are creating and fostering and encouraging a new generation of filmmakers and young Jewish women who really have a special and unique voice that will definitely make the world a better place. And so we want to empower them with the craft and the tools to make kosher, beautiful, inspiring, and exciting films. I want to thank you all for joining us today on this wonderful broadcast of Coffee with Robin. A special thank you to my two amazing and wonderful, delightful guests, Ahava Keet and cinematographer Daron Keet. I invite you all to please take a look at their work. When you see the trailer, there's a great shot of Ahava actually in the behind the scenes piece that really sort of gives you a flavor of what it was like on set. So please go to our Kickstarter page and check it out. The easiest way, you can either just go to Kickstarter and search Operation Candlelight, or even better yet, go to our website, kolneshama.org, and right there on the homepage is an easy link to the Kickstarter page. Thank you all, and I look forward to drinking some more coffee with you again.